What is up, y'all? Welcome back to the Black Experience, y'all. Welcome back to season 5. We are in season 5, y'all. Thank you so much to all my returning viewers and listeners. Thank you for your support. To anyone that is new, that is tapping into the Black Experience, welcome. Welcome to the journey. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the club. Appreciate you guys listening, viewing this at whatever time you may be in, whatever time zone or whatever you may be doing. I appreciate it. Today, y'all, as usual, I have a very special guest with me today. Today I have someone who is a realtor, he's an author, he's a team leader, he is a coach, and he's a speaker. So let's put our hands together and let's bring up my friend, Mr. DeVante Blow.
What's up, man? What's up? Appreciate it, man.
How was that, man?
Hey,
Did
man.
that encompass everything?
It did. You made me sound super important, bro.
You are, man.
I love it. I love it. No.
How's the day been so far?
Man, you know what? Started off right, man. You know what? Had a pretty big party yesterday and just relaxed this morning. Slept in to about 7:30, 8 o'clock.
Okay.
You know? And,
Yeah. Not typical for you to sleep in?
No, not at all. Not at all. Not at all. We're up at 5 o'clock, 5:30 at the latest, you know, at the gym, doing something active, and then about our business.
Okay. I'm a big fan of Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yeah.
And so I always see his motivational videos of him waking up at 4:30 a.m.
Yeah.
in the gym just
Yeah.
clanking and banging and doing all those weight stuff and then takes off for the day and
Yep.
goes about it.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's important. It's important. You know, you got to start your day off right. I'm not 4:30 or 4 o'clock at all. No.
Yeah.
5 o'clock. Yeah. 5:30. Typical. So.
Okay. Okay. I need to get on that trend because I'm a typically 7:30,
Okay.
7 a.m. sometimes,
Yeah.
but I want to definitely bring it back a little bit just because as I'm getting older too, now being out of college, I'm like, I want to use up my mornings as best I can.
Yeah, man, you're getting real old, bro. Real old.
Oh man, I'm not even 25 yet.
I know, right? That's what sarcasm, bro. Stop it, man.
I appreciate it. Well, DeVante, man, I appreciate you coming on the podcast.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to Russ Whitby. Russ was the one that initially had shouted you out.
Yeah.
And I'd heard of you before.
Mm-hmm.
It's just except like you were in my list, and then Russ was like, "Now's the time.
Oh,
Do it. He's
man.
coming out with a book. Have him on the podcast." So.
Oh man, shout out to Russ, man. The voice.
Absolutely. But yeah, man, let's kick it off a little bit with your background.
Okay.
If you want to talk about you particularly growing up in Oak Harbor.
Oak Harbor.
And how growing up looked like for you, and how if there was any early influences that shaped the journey you're on today.
Man. Yeah, so growing up in Oak Harbor, man, it was completely different. It's a military town, right? So I grew up with everyone, you know, black, white, Puerto Rican, Chinese, Asian, everything, you know, all around me. And so it was really cool to experience a lot of cultures and then start to almost, you know, melt into those as well, right? Like, you know, for instance, like I speak Spanish at a high level, you know, and this is something that is not indicative of.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Right? Yeah, man, killing it. No, but speak Spanish, you know what I mean? And like a whole bunch of different things. I love soccer. And, you know, I got that from a lot of my Mexican friends. Like, you know, soccer, like we don't necessarily play soccer, you know?
Right.
But it's like, you know, hey, let's go. Let's just have fun.
Yeah.
And so we, growing up, I never limited myself to what a lot of people say, you know, like black people don't do that, you know, stuff like that. I love to have fun. All my white friends, man, I learned how to snowboard. You know what I mean? I'm jumping out of airplanes for fun,
man.
bro. Like I'm doing it all, man. And it's been really cool. So Oak Harbor really helped me be well-rounded. And then the militaristic background, you know, my grandparents were in the military. My mom had me at a super young age at 15.
Wow.
So I grew up in my grandparents' house, you know, and my grandparents were pastors. They were in the military, you know what I mean? So it was just like super regimented. And that helped me morally, you know, just have that compass of just true north, you know, staying true to who I am, true to my faith, true to my word. So, you know, a lot of those things really, man, just made me the man that I am today. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
On the whole white part thing.
Yeah.
Man, it's like I always, you know, I listen to a wide range of music.
Yeah.
And so especially when I'm with my particular group of friends, a lot of them, if I play anything outside of R&B or hip hop,
Right.
they're like, here goes our music again with this music, this weird music, and I'm like, this is a banger.
Right.
Millions of people listen to this.
Absolutely.
They're like, you're the only one in the friend group though. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't care.
Right? Yeah, no, it's okay to be that guy, man. Like, you know, Jacob Collier, dude, a mastermind, bro, with music. And like, if you ask, you know, a lot of people who just listen to R&B or listen to rap, they don't know what's happening, you know, and you got to be able to decipher things like that. I think just art in general is so beautiful.
Yeah.
And I guess a short story. When I was 9 years old, I got my first Discman, bruh.
Oh, get out of here.
Had a CD, and I got my first Discman, and the first CD I ever got was Stevie Wonder's Greatest Hits. And when I tell you, bro, like
Wow.
I tell this story, and I feel corny every time I say it, but when I started listening to that CD, it was like the world like had color then, bro. It was like Stevie Wonder is such an amazing, amazing musician and singer, right? But he doesn't necessarily stay confined to R&B. You know, he does it all, and so he helped me, man. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah,
Stevie Wonder. My parents listened to him a lot.
yeah.
Particularly for me, he's kind of out of my generation
Yeah.
zone, so I don't really. But we've heard the jokes about Stevie Wonder.
Yeah.
Even Stevie Wonder could see this or whatever. You know?
Hey man, leave my man alone, bro. Don't do that.
But shout out to a legend though, man.
Absolute legend.
Oh,
Absolute
man.
legend, bro. Yeah.
Yeah. So DeVante, I will say this, man. I think one of the first things when I looked you up on LinkedIn and then I heard people talking about you, I think one of the things that stood out mainly was just the multiple talents and stuff that you do. I mean, you've done music, and we'll get into that.
Yeah.
You've done humor.
Yeah.
You've just written a book. You speak. You do speaking engagements. How do you, I guess, like, how do you balance everything that you do? Because I relate to you on this part because I also, especially when I was in college, was doing multiple things. But how did you particularly, first of all, was that a choice for you that you wanted to do all these things, and how did you balance them?
Yeah, that's a great question. You know, growing up in a eclectic family, you know, so I'm the oldest of 20 children. My
20?
20, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, my youngest sibling just turned 1 2 months ago. So oldest of 20 children, and then I told you I was raised in my grandparents' house, so they had 7 kids. So I was essentially the youngest of, you know, my aunts and uncles. You know, my aunt is 19 and a half months older than me. You know, so it's like, you know, it was really close. And so between football, sports is a huge thing. Music, I have pastors in my house, you know what I mean? Like, I just saw it all, and I was like, you know, I never want to be confined to like a 9 to 5, or, you know what I mean? No, nothing against anybody that's working a 9 to 5, but that just wasn't my passion. That wasn't my goal. And so I just tapped into who I was. And everything that you're talking about, whether that be humor, music, speaking, writing a book, all that plays into who I am intrinsically. And so I think balancing it is probably the hardest part, right? Because there'll be times where right now I'm in my book and speaking era, right? But then there's also nights where a song will come to my mind. I'm like, oh man, I gotta record that really quick, right? But it's like, I can't delve right now. I cannot delve out of this right now because I'm being intentional about writing this book, about getting this book out, about speaking and helping others. But if you would ask me, the core of everything that I do is to add value to people, man, and to tell my story. That's it.
Where does that come from? This, because I could feel it. I can feel the energy of just like you want to inspire people, you want to lead people. Or are there any like role models growing up? Was it your grandparents? Was it your parents? Anyone that kind of instilled that in you?
Yeah, I mean, all the above. You know, my grandparents for sure. Just seeing them, you know, transition from the military into full-time pastor. You know, pastoring is, oh my goodness, man, getting calls at 3 o'clock in the morning because, you know, this person's going through that or that person's going through this. You know, and then being ready at a drop of a hat. You know, that was something that it spoke to me. You know, they were there for people in the best of times and in the worst of times, and they never lost their faith, they never lost their smile, they never lost that encouraging word, right? So I saw what that did for people. You know, I was like, man, I always want to be like that. I always want to have a smile on my face. You know what I mean? I always want to have that word for somebody who's going through or who needs it.
Right.
And so, you know, my grandparents for sure. One of my Uncle Sam, man, he's the goat, man. He's the goat, bro. Like he's a pastor, but at the same time, like he breaks it down to you and with you in a way that's like you feel like you're talking to a homie. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't make the faith feel like it's unattainable. You
Absolutely.
know? And so super love that. And of course my dad, man. My dad is, if there's an entrepreneur that I aim to be like, man, it's my dad, dude. Like he started off with absolute zero, if not negative, you know, like in the hole, and now is making, you know, millions of dollars. But not only that, he's making a huge impact on his community. What's funny is my dad's a 6'4" bald black dude in California right now, where there's the population has to be at least 90 to 95% Mexican, right? Well, my dad loves music, and so he was like, you know what? How can I serve this community? So he started DJing, right? He starts DJing, but he's DJing at like all the quinceañeras and the baptisms for all these Mexican people, right? Now, mind you, my dad don't really speak a lick of Spanish,
Spanish.
but he knows all their songs. He loves the community. He loves to have a good time. So they call, his name's DJ Orale, which I mean, it's funny. It's a play. Orale just means like okay. So he's like DJ okay.
DJ, okay.
Right?
Like, okay, I guess I'll do it type of thing.
Yeah. Type deal. So it's super funny just seeing him in that community, and man, he's crushing it. So Dad's a huge inspiration. I can go down the list, man. But I had a lot of people to look up to, and I still feel like I have such a far way to go because they're just amazing human beings.
Yeah. Gosh, man, that is. I was picturing that just like your dad in Mexico City, just like DJing it.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't know any Spanish. If someone comes up trying to request a song in Spanish, I'm like, I don't know. I only have this list. But if he plays it, you're like, okay, now I get the song.
Exactly.
That's really cool.
Man, he has it down to a science, bro. I've been to a couple of quinceañeras and baptisms, and he actually he bought 20 acres and built this massive, like, I don't even know what to call it. He just has a facility. So now people go to his house, rent out his facility, and then pay him to DJ at his facility. So like he's and then he has on the other side he has like a rodeo station. So like he's doing it the right way.
He's doing it and he's making money.
He's making crazy money, but all he did was he's just adding value to people. You know what I mean? He saw a problem, he saw a need, and he was like, all right, I'll fill that. Yeah. So that's all entrepreneurship is.
Absolutely. No, there was a kind of how I was telling you about my online business that I had over COVID. One of the podcasts that I listened to, because they would release podcasts every week, I forgot his name, but he talked about the title was Value Propositions, and it talked about that. It's like, don't do something just for the sake of trying to make more money.
Right.
The more value you add in someone's life, the money will come.
Right.
When the value's there and they see it.
Yep.
So.
I mean, you nailed it. There's nothing else to add to that.
Yeah.
Period.
That's it. I'm curious. 20 kids.
Yeah.
How was that like?
Man, you know what? It's really cool. Don't ask me birthdays, because I don't know.
You don't know? Not even one?
I know mine. You know what? I know one of them's August 24th, but I only know that because mine's August 5th.
It's closest to yours.
I know we got some in May. I know we got an April. I know my mom's is October 9th. That just happened. We got a whole litany of December babies, man. And then my wife is a December baby as well, which sucks. It's December 30th, so it's like right after Christmas, right before New Year's.
Oh, man.
But yeah, it's a whole bunch of us.
It's like, oh my gosh, I'm just trying to picture Christmas at y'all's place.
Oh, man. You know what? Christmas, back when we were all together, because we're all grown now, except for a couple of the younger ones, we'd all get together, and this is like all my family, my brothers and sisters, aunts, uncles, grandparents, great-grandparents. We would actually rent out a cabin up on Mount Baker.
Yeah.
We'd have to rent out a whole bunch, but then we'd come together, and we'd have the biggest tree. And when I tell you there's a mountain of presents, bro, like that's probably a core memory for me, is like us doing that as a family.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was dope.
Family reunions, man. On my mom's side, is 7 of them.
Oof.
And my dad's side is 9.
Okay.
And they're all scattered, and sadly we lost one on my dad's side. But I'm always like, man, we gotta get a family reunion somehow.
Yeah.
Like, I know everyone's scattered across Europe, some still in Africa back home, some here, but man, there's nothing better than that, just because you're like, and especially some of us, we haven't even seen other family members in like 10, 15, 20 years. Yeah. So
yeah, you gotta do
that's
it,
a big goal of mine, man.
Do it, bro. Do it. Just do it. Make it happen.
Let's talk about the importance of building relationships.
Yes, sir.
And this even ties to the value piece that you've been talking about. But so you're a real estate agent, you're a realtor, and specifically when it comes to building relationships through your belief in community and your faith. How do those two things tie together, and how did they shape kind of like what you do on the real estate side?
Yeah, it was almost as if growing up in the church and growing up just around amazing, authentic human beings, it shaped me to do whatever I wanted to do, right? I can walk in the room and authentically be myself in every facet, right? I don't have to, like, I'm a realtor, and it would have been easy for me to walk in here suited and booted, you know what I mean? Have a suit on,
That's
nice
what I was
tie.
expecting.
Right? But I often don't do that. Yeah. And the reason is because I'm authentically who I am. And so what happens is I put out a lot of content, whether that be on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. I put out a lot of content so that people can see who I am. And so when I show up to your house and you've already said, hey, I'm looking to sell my house. And when I walk through that door, 9 times out of 10, people have already been to some of my websites. And when I walk in and I am who I am and I am who they see, I've already gotten the job, because they're like, oh, he's really himself, and so building relationships. What happens is I'm in a couple of different communities, whether that be pickleball community. There's a big pickleball
You play
community up here.
pickleball?
Man, I play
No
pickleball.
way.
Yeah, I do, man. I do. Don't make fun of me,
I'm
man.
not.
But I play pickleball. But I'm part of a church here called CTK. It's one of the bigger churches here. And when I'm doing those things, I don't even bring up that I sing. I don't bring up that I'm a real estate agent. I just want to be myself. And then through, building relationships and through earning people's trust, right? And through, and love and friendship, that's when somehow, some way, somebody's like, yo, man, what do you do? Oh, man, I'm a real estate agent, man. I have a team of 13 agents out here. You know what I mean? I'm selling lots of houses. No way. Dude, I'm thinking about selling. Man, how can I help out? You know what I mean?
Wow.
And we have this term in real estate called commission breath. And what that means is, like, you meet somebody, you're like, hey, my name's DeVante, and I sell houses. Are you looking to buy, sell, or invest? While that may work for somebody, for me, that doesn't, man, because that just means that I'm talking to you with the end goal of selling a house to you.
Yeah.
Right? But when I meet someone, it's you know what? Let's see if we can be friends. Man, how you doing? And then, once you start to connect, is there a way that I can add value to this person? And oftentimes it's not real estate. Because people move every 7 to 10 years, on average now. Oftentimes it's not real estate. Oftentimes it's just being a brother. You know what I mean? Just having a good time. Hey, let's go play pickleball.
Yeah.
Hey, let's go out for coffee. Let's have lunch. You know what I mean? And those are the ways that my name gets spread. Because now it's like, yo, man, this dude, he came to me and he's really just adding value. He's being a genuine human being.
Right.
You got to talk to him. And, oh, yeah, by the way, he's a real estate agent. You know what I mean? Oh, by the way, he's a real estate agent. And then just perpetuate that over and over again. Word of mouth, bro. And that's why I'm here today.
Wow. And there's nothing more powerful than word of mouth.
Right?
I mean, that's what I'm trying to do with my podcast.
Yeah.
Like, hey, get it out there, if I
Yes.
share an episode. I'm curious, what is because your approach is amazing and it's worked for you and it's clearly working should be true and possible. How do you differentiate between, someone being like, hey, when you're doing something, whether it be real estate or anything, you want to be direct, you want to be ferocious, you want to be, get to the point, save time, and just attack so that you have that success and be direct with people. That versus kind of your approach of like, let me just be this man's or this woman's friend first.
Yeah, of course, I don't believe in the one size fits all mantra, right? There's so many ways to skin a cat. There's so many ways to sell a house. There's so many ways to buy a house. My approach is building relationships and adding value. Some people, and I have someone who's on my team now, and they're like, oh my gosh, from the past 4 years, all I've been doing is transaction. And it worked for them at a certain clip, but they noticed that they've plateaued. Right? And I said, okay, well, hey, you have that, and there's nothing wrong with being a transactional person. Like, if you're out there, you're just, hey, I'm here to sell your house. And once I sell your house, I likely won't talk to you again. If that's what somebody's looking for, then okay, they'll go for that. Me, I'm in it for the long game, because I don't want to just sell your house. I want to sell that house. I want to help you buy your next house. I want to help you sell that house 5 years from now too.
Wow.
But then, you know what I mean? And then your grandmother, your mama, your sister, your auntie, whatever. I want to help everybody because I have a solution to a problem. That's really what if anything, I'm selling is a solution to a problem. So to answer your question, there's many ways to be successful.
Right.
My way is a relationship-based way.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's advice for me, actually, because sometimes, I tend to be very transactional, and I have been sometimes, and I think school had a little bit to do with that, where it's kind of just like, you have an assignment, you turn it in, boom, and then on to the next class, on to the next professor, whatever. But that is so important because, as I continue to do this podcast and as I continue to have people, I mean, I'm an open book, and I would love to form a relationship with everyone that I found on the podcast. Yeah. But I know not everyone has that same thinking, or that's the outcome that they want. They're like, hey, you know what? I was here, I provided my insight, my wisdom, and now on to the next thing. Nothing wrong. There's no beef or anything, but it's just uncovering those people that want to be in the long game.
Man, so talking about adding solutions or solving problems. Yeah. So for real estate agents and entrepreneurs, I have this kind of worksheet that I've made in a 13-minute video to go along with it. And I help people identify their ideal client. right? And so if you are a transactional person, and again, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with being a transactional person. In my experience and what I do is relationship, finding your ideal client, and then what you do is, I mean, it's like an avatar. Essentially, you're building a person. You can call him the Jones, you can call him whatever you want to do. You know, that's Sally, my ideal client. But okay, what are their buying tendencies? You know, how are they going to find you? Go back over your past relationships or your past transactions. How did that person find you? How was that transaction? Do you want to work with that characteristic again? And then everything else that you build on top of your client avatar is to attract that person. So for me, if you were to ask me, hey, DeVante, who do you serve the most? Well, when I look back on all my transactions, it's people who are in like 28 to about 50 who their first house or their second house no longer serves them anymore, whether that be because of, you know, death, divorce, diapers, whatever, promotion. They need to move up or move out, move down, you know, from their current house. Well, I have a system in place to help you move out, sell your house, and, you know, and find that next house. But it's more so, what are the problems or the pain points
Right.
that those people have? Well, I've studied that. I know what to talk about. You know what I mean? When people are telling me their story, like, man, you know, hey, we're so excited. We're about to have a baby. And you know, our house, man, we need another room. Yo, awesome. Oftentimes, I know exactly where you're going to start looking first in Whatcom County because, you know what I mean, the affordability or the houses that you like to see, I know exactly where to point you before you even say it, you know, because you fit my ideal client. So,
Wow.
it's a science, but yeah.
How did you create that system, man?
That's a great question. You know, it's R&D, right? Rip off and duplicate.
Absolutely.
You know, I've definitely heard a lot of people say, you know, build out your ideal client, but I just did that too. You know, I was like, you know what? I worked with this guy, and it was about 2.5 years ago. Very, very rich dude, man, bought a multi-million-dollar house, and dude, it was the worst transaction I've ever been a part of. The money was amazing, but I would rather give that money back and take back my dignity and pride than work with that person ever again. 1,000%.
Wow.
And so that's when I made the switch of, I'm not just going to work with anybody, because you know what? I'm not for everybody. You know what I mean? Like, it takes
That's such a harsh truth, but yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, of course you want everybody to love you and all this other stuff, but man, no, that's not me.
It's
Like,
just not true.
It's not true.
It can't happen.
It's impossible. That means that you're a chameleon. That means that you're not true to yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
Because you're switching colors for everyone else.
Exactly. So me being true to who I am, now I attract those people who fit in my ideal client. You know what I mean? So I worked with this dude, man, and I'm telling you, bro, like, I'd have to take a shower after dealing with this cat. You know what I mean? Like, just that's how. And it's not that he was a horrible person, because for another real estate agent, man, they may have, for a transactional real estate agent, they may have clicked very well. See, I was trying to fit a circle in a square, right?
Gotcha.
A round peg into a square hole.
Right.
Wasn't gonna work, man. And so again, I'd rather give that man all the money back and go back and work with 3 other families that buy half of what he bought, but make a huge impact on their life. And so it's
That's incredible.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you have plenty of those kind of stories.
Yeah, well, you know what? It only took me one time. It's truly.
Yeah.
I have one story about that where I felt like crap. You know what I mean? I mean, like, the dude was, you know, rude, not rude, but just very short. Didn't want that relational piece, and so I was like, man, what's going on? Why can't I make this dude my friend? You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't that he was doing anything wrong. It was that I was just trying to make a circle go into a square peg, and it just doesn't work. So
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot with relationships,
Yes.
friendships.
Yes.
It's like, man, if I'm always the one initiating, and you know, you may be showing up and stuff, but if there's no reciprocated interest, at least you could say meeting halfway, but at least some kind of thing in return from that person, either their time or just their presence or whatever it may be, then it may not be the person for you.
Right.
That may not be the friend for you. Or whatever.
Right.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm still getting over myself, by the way, because I'm like, I like to, if I could, I would probably try to be friends with everyone, and I've tried that, but it's always failed me because not everyone is in the same position, and it's not personal.
Right.
Have you read Don Miguel's 4 Agreements?
No.
Before? So Don Miguel Ruiz, amazing book. It's called The 4 Agreements of Life, and the 4 of them are: don't make assumptions. Always do your best. Don't take anything personal. And, gosh, I'm blanking on the 4th one. But it's something really good. But one of them being don't take anything personal.
Yeah.
Which is anything that others say or do has nothing to do with you mainly.
Right.
It's just a reflection of their own reality.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that was long-winded, but if that makes sense.
Nah, I love it. Yeah. I'm going to read that book now.
Yeah. But speaking of books,
oh, man.
And I want to transition to this. Really.
Yeah.
You've got a book.
Yes, sir.
My friend, man, it's called Just One Layup, Building the Playbook for Real Estate Success. Can y'all see this?
Let's
They
go.
can see this, right?
Yeah.
What was, because I've still yet to get this book and get your autograph on it. Those are the two things I need before I open it up.
Let's go.
But man, tell us a little bit about this book. What was the inspiration behind it? And yeah, why you wrote this book?
Yeah, so this book is actually a culmination of, I would say, 10 years of just life. And the end result is it being for real estate agents and entrepreneurs. But volume 2 is coming up soon. And that'll be more of
This is just part one.
This is part one. Just One Layup. I don't know what we're going to title it, but it'll be more generalized. But if you're not a real estate agent or if you're not an entrepreneur, you can definitely read this and take a lot of nuggets out of it. So this is, it tells you a lot of my journey before real estate, who shaped me, what shaped me to who I am today. And then it tells, the beginning stages of my real estate career, it tells me about how, I really didn't know what I was doing, bro. To the point to where, man, I remember I was getting trained, and our first time walking through a house, my team leader, Tim Cornwell, was like, hey, all right, guys, what's this, what's that? And they're like, oh, yeah, that's this, that's that, that's the backsplash. I'm not knowing nothing, bro. I'm like, what are y'all talking about, man? That's just this, or that's just that. And so he's like, all right, D, it's your turn. What's this? And he points at what is typically called the linen closet. Bro, all my life, that was the towel closet. You just throw the towels in there. What you mean? And so I'm thinking everybody knew that. And, of course, maybe I'm saying, towel when other people say linen. But, bro, it's professionally known as a linen closet. I looked at them like, y'all playing. What do you mean linen? Linen what? And so, just to show you how much I did not know about real estate, and how much you learn so quick. And so this book is just, a lot of my ups, my downs, being down to my last $50 in the end of my second year of real estate.
Wow.
And then the things that I did to come back from that. So when I say just one layup, the premise behind that is the layup in basketball is the easiest shot you can take.
Yes.
The highest percentage shot you can take, right?
Yes.
And so I often talk about the story of Steph Curry in 2019. Steph Curry in 2019, it was Game 6 against not the Raptors, against Houston Rockets. And Steph, we know him as the greatest shooter of all time. First quarter, 0 points, 2 fouls. And he's shooting. Second quarter, still 0 points, bro. They go into halftime, they make their adjustments. Still, halfway through the third quarter is when he got his first bucket to go in. And this is one of the greatest shooters, if not the greatest shooter of all time.
That's insane.
He had to get back to the basics. His first shot that he made was a layup.
Boom.
Second shot was a layup, and then something clicked, right? So he built momentum, right? Hit those 2 layups, and then so he went from making no points in the first 2.5 quarters to ending that game with 33 points.
Get out of here.
33 points.
I think I remember this game, actually.
Yeah.
Was it in the semifinals?
Yeah. This game was yo, you win this, we're going to play. That's the year they lost to the Raptors.
To the Raptors, yeah. Kawhi and the boys.
Yeah, Kawhi hit that crazy shot. But it was like, you know what? How do I apply this? And so I felt that. I felt as if, you know what, man, I'm not hitting nothing right now. I got $50 in my pocket. I'm not hitting any shots. And so I had to get back to the basics. And so I took a person out to lunch, and this is like getting back to the basics. Me being in front of somebody, adding value. Took a person out to lunch, $50 in my pocket. I'm not joking. Took him to Scotty Brown's, right? Scotty Brown's isn't super high, but it's not cheap at the same time. I got $50 in my account, and so I'm like, hey man, get whatever you want. Man, it was the first time I ever ordered a salad in my life. I was nervous, man, but I ordered me a salad, you know what I mean? And we got to talking, and it was really, really cool. And then next thing you know, that person was the first person to buy a house for me that year. And then it snowballed into me having the craziest year in my career. I did over $6 million in total volume before half the year was over. And so it was just like, what's going on? Well, what happened was I got back to the basics. I hit that layup, and it started to build momentum. I was like, okay, I still need to be in front of people, and so I started doing open houses, right? Because that puts me in front of people. I started speaking and started being part of the community because that puts me in front of people, right?
Wow.
And all these things are just layups that I can do on a consistent basis so that I can build the momentum to take the big three. And so that book, for me, is the big three, right?
Wow.
The speaking engagements that I'm booking now all across the country all this year, that's the big three. But it started taking somebody out. That was the layup in my life.
Yeah.
And so when I say, building the playbook for success, really you have to know who you are intrinsically. How do you operate? Because there's so many ways, and I'll keep it in like a real estate / entrepreneur mindset. There's so many ways to sell a house. There's so many ways to get a client. You can make 50 phone calls a day and try to convert somebody to, 50 phone calls a day to some people you don't know. It's called cold calling.
Cold calling,
right?
yes.
You can do that. And there are people that are absolutely crushing it at doing that. That's not me, but people are doing it. You can go and door knock 100 houses a day. And there's people that are out there crushing door knocking, right? And so the premise of building a playbook specifically for you is going back to what I said earlier. I don't believe in one size fits all, right? So find out who you are, and I encourage people to take the DISC profile test to it's not a true north, but it's a guiding light to help you understand who you are, how you work best, how you learn best, and then you apply those principles to, okay, I'm high I, which means that I need to be in front of people. It's called either influence. It's called like an influencer, right? I need to be in front of people because people feel my energy, and I in turn feel that energy back, and just fuels me, right? And so being an high I in real estate or in entrepreneurship, that means I need to be face to face. If you put me in like a 10-hour bust out 150,000 phone calls, I would not, nor could I do that. It would drain me. I would suck at it. It would just literally kill me on the inside.
Yeah.
But if you told me to do like a 10-hour open house, right? I'm there. I'm there because I know that I'm gonna meet people. I'm gonna say what's up to people. I'm gonna smile. I'm gonna laugh. I'm gonna make them laugh. I'm gonna get to know people, and that fuels me. I'd rather do 5 hours of open houses than 1 hour of cold calling.
Yeah.
But that's just because who I am. Now there's other people that you say go do an open house and they freak out.
They can't do it.
Can't do it. Right? And so we build those playbooks. So if we know your strengths, then we create processes and systems around that, so that now it's just you're skating, bro. You're skating.
Yeah.
So I know that's a long-winded answer.
No,
but
that was amazing,
that's the
though.
book, man.
And I've had plenty of my guests. Shout out to Ken Miller, who talked about to emphasize your strengths. Don't worry about your weaknesses, not as much as your strengths.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful you said this, because I would always think to myself, man, I emphasize my strengths, and I can do them any day, all day, any day. But the weaknesses that I have, I try to, I work on my weaknesses, and I'm like, let's say if I'm an open house person like you, and cold calling is not my thing, would it be a bad thing to one day be like, hey, let me cold call today, and let's see if I can work on that and see if I can change? Is that a bad thing? Is that a good thing? How do you view that?
Man, that's a great question. So I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. It's not an advisable thing. So what I want you to be doing, if you're one of my coaching clients, I would say I want you to be at your highest and best use at all times, right? You don't want to put the wrong gas in a very, very expensive car.
No.
Right? Because, yeah, sure, to get you somewhere, but, man, you're gonna be stuck up the road, you know what I mean, in a couple miles, right? And so you can work on your strengths, and there's no limit to how high they can go. You can work on your weaknesses, but there is a cap. There is a cap. Your weakness will likely still be your weakness 5 years from now, 10 years from now. And that's okay. So what you do is you hire that out, right? Do what you do best, hire out the rest. You feel me?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I can do open houses, and I do have an assistant who makes calls for me on my behalf. Hi, I'm DeVante's assistant, la, 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 and goes about your business, and goes about it, right? Because, of course, that's a pillar of work that you can build yourself on, right? That's a revenue stream of cold calling. It's not my strength, but you know what? I'm not daft enough to think that, I'm just not going to do that.
Yeah.
No, I'm going to hire somebody and they're going to do it. You know what I mean? But, like, that's their strength. You know what I mean? It's just do what you do best at all times and hire out the rest.
And that sounds a lot like work smart, not hard.
Yes, sir. 1,000%. Yeah. I mean, think about it. Okay, so you're like, you know what? Hey, today I'm gonna do 2 hours of cold calling, and it takes you 45 minutes to just pick up the phone because you're like, frick, I don't want to do this. I don't know what to say. La la la. Man, that's 45 minutes you could have been at an open house. You know what I mean? Crushing it, talking to somebody, and you make a connection, and they're ready to buy, sell, or invest. You know what I mean? So always put yourself in the place to succeed.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's good, man.
Yeah.
That is valuable. Appreciate it. A volume of 5 million in real estate in your first year.
Yes, sir.
I mean, DeVante, how did you do that?
How did I do that, man? You know what? Your first year, it's so tough. And I wish I would have applied a lot of the things that I do now. But in your first year, you gotta grind. Your second, third year, you gotta grind. And I was a grinder, man. You know, I literally burned the ships. There's nothing else. So my wife and I, we moved to Bellingham in June of 2020. This is when COVID was, you know what I mean?
George Floyd, COVID.
All of it. March 17th of 2020, we got the shutdown notice, and I was working at a restaurant. It's going on my 8th year in this restaurant. Miserable, man. Miserable for the last 2 years of my job, or 2 years of my stint at that restaurant. And, you know, with respect to those who suffered during COVID, COVID was the best thing that ever happened to me. Because it pushed me, man. It pushed me to greatness. It was like, you know what? Hey, man, it's time. Nut up or shut up. You know what I mean? And so I burned the ships. In June, we got married. We moved to Bellingham from Whidbey Island, which was all I'd known. And we started completely new careers. My wife got into mental health therapy. She graduated with her master's degree. And then I got into real estate. And so I had no choice but to be successful. You know what I mean? Like, truly, I did not.
Because the ships were burned.
The ships were burned. There was no turning back. I have a family, right? And I just went for it. You know, 9 times out of 10, when if an agent sticks it through, because we have a 87% failure rate in the first 2 years. Yeah, 87.
Wow.
Almost 90% of agents that get in will not be there in 2 years.
Wow.
It's crazy. And the reason is because they don't know what to do. They're just they're doing everything. I started off by reaching out to people who know, like, and trust me. And my first sale was with a family friend. And then it just went from there. You know,
Small layups.
Boom.
Layup.
Yeah.
3-point shot now.
Yeah. Yes, sir. So just built off of that, man. I was not shy about who I was. A lot of people like to be, background real estate agents or secret agents. Man, I'm telling everybody. I wish I had this letter still. I wrote a letter and I sent it to everybody I knew. Just telling them how excited I am about this new venture and how I look forward to adding value to them in the future whenever a real estate need pops up.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
You brought up family several times.
Yeah.
What role have they played in your journey and in your career and in all the multiple talents that you do?
Whew. Man, you know what? At the event last night, you know, the book launch party, I told people multiple times when I had the mic in my hand how important my wife was and still is to me to this day. You know, I'm not here today without her. Truly. I mean, it's so different when you have somebody who you're building an empire with, someone who speaks to the king inside of you, someone who holds you to the standard that, you know, you both have set, you know what I mean, and holds you to the greatness that they see inside of you, you know, not in a negative or, not in a negative way, but in a way of like, no, I see that in you, and you've articulated that this is something you want to do, so go get it. I'll tell a short story of right before I got into real estate, I was researching it, and I was really excited about it, and I was like, nah, man. I saw that number of 87% of people pop out. I was like, nah. And so my wife and I, we often have like a red table talk, like an honest conversation, right? And so I asked her this question, which, brothers, man, listen, is a scary question to ask your wife. I said, babe, what is something that I've done that is, that you're disappointed in or that, didn't make you happy? Man, I said, that is such a vulnerable question because you're opening yourself up and you have to be like okay with what they said because you asked it. And she said, I remember when you were talking about real estate, how you were so excited and you kind of just left it alone. So I'm super out. I'm disappointed because I knew you'd be great at it. Man, those words spurred me on. 2 weeks later, I had my real estate license and I was in real estate.
Wow.
And here we are today. And years before, like I told you, before I even got into real estate, I wanted to write this book. I wanted to write this book for, to help college kids, to help high school kids, to help anybody that's in sports. apply the learnings and the principles of sports into the real world of just one layup, right? And so I started talking about the book a couple years ago, and she's like, "Babe, just write the book. Like, you just do it. You're going."
Okay.
And so last year, I was like, "Babe, I'm gonna write the book." She said, "It's about time. Write the book." You know what I mean? She's spurring me on to a good work, and here we are. The book is out. So she speaks life into my dreams, my aspirations, and to the man I am today. And then, of course, my son, oh my gosh, my pride and joy. On page 2 of the book, my dedication is to him. And I tell him, I want you to live the life that you want, not a life that you can afford.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I'm doing a lot of this. My dad and I guess I got to give some backstory. My dad and I's relationship really didn't take off until I was 21. It was hit and miss, and there was large gaps of, not there or whatever have you. But when I turned 21, my dad showed up in the most important moments of my life. And we talk, and he lives in California, so we talk multiple times a week now. He does the same thing. He believes in me. He speaks into not only me as a man, but me as a father, me as a son. And so our relationship took off, and it helped me to be a better dad to my son, right? My son wasn't even really born by the time me and my dad's relationship really took off. It's probably the single most important thing that ever happened to me.
Wow.
Because it freed me to be a vulnerable, open father to my son. Not a damaged man who did, with daddy issues, and, trying to appease, but a confident man who has an amazing backing of an amazing father, amazing wife. And man, my son, he's so much better than I was even at 12. Like, I'm looking at him like, dude, we just had a conversation the other day, because I've switched my verbiage when I talk to him of like, "Hey son, make me proud today at school," to, "Hey son, do something you be proud of today at school." Right? He's that advanced, right? He's that advanced, and I'm just oftentimes I sit back, I'm just like, that's my son?
Yeah.
What the heck did I do to deserve him, man? He's so amazing, and he's faced crazy adversity. You know about it. He's faced crazy adversity, and still has the wherewithal to go to school, make people smile, get good grades. He's in this class. What is the class called? I don't know. It's like some advanced placement class. Like, he's taking things that are helping him out in college in 7th grade.
Is this Running Start?
It's not running. It's not Avid. Is what it's called. It's called Avid. I don't know what it stands for. Probably a bad dad moment right there. But I'm just like, yo, that's my dude, man. He makes me so proud. And my wife's little sister, she's 18 now. She goes to Squalicum High. She moved in with us about 2 years ago. She's doing great. We moved her from a bad situation to kind of give her a semblance of just be a kid. And that's been great. So, man, my family is everything to me. They all believe in me, man. They all push me, and we do it for each other too. So,
man, there's so much to unpack there, man. But
for sure.
I am so glad you have a supportive wife, an amazing wife, an amazing son and family, because family, similar to you, means a lot to me too.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna touch on something that, when I think about it, it hurts me, but I can only imagine how much it hurt you when it happened. But for those of you who may know or may not know, earlier this year in June, DeVante's son, Gabriel, was coming back from a field trip and walking back to Wacom Middle School.
Yes, sir.
With his friends. He was 11 at the time, in 6th grade, and this made national news, by the way, so you guys can search this up. But a hate crime incident happened. A 42-year-old white man came up to your son and randomly punched him in the face.
Yeah.
Afterward, pushes him and says something to the effect of, "Are you going to talk to a white man like that?" And this happened right across from a police station that captured it on footage.
Yeah.
I graduated on the 14th of June. This happened, 2 days prior to that, the 12th, if I'm not mistaken. I was enraged when I heard this. In fact, in my 5 years of being here at Western in Bellingham, I've never heard this incident to happen. I've heard stuff like this happen in the past, but for this to happen in 2024, I mean, how did you and family react when that happened, and how did you guys get through it, man?
Yeah. So I was shocked. At first, I didn't really understand, and again, to give some credence to this, we moved here in 2020, and it was a culture shock for us. So we've never been in a place that is so heavily white, right? Which there's nothing wrong with that. It was just for us, it was very new. Coming from even a smaller place like Whidbey Island, man, we had everybody, but of course we had the luxury of having the military, so that brings everybody together. So it was something that was on our radar. We're like, okay, what does it mean to be here in Bellingham and be part of the 1 point whatever percent of African Americans that live in Whatcom County? And I tell you, in that first year, it was so welcoming. It was so great. We never felt as if we were the only black people here, if that makes sense. We walked in and we didn't get those looks. You know what I mean? Those looks. It was always welcoming. And so, honestly, maybe we let our guard down. And so that day, I'm at work. I'm in my office in Ferndale, and my son calls me, and he's frantic. I'm like, one, he's calling me during school, and then two, something's not right. I can tell he's running or something. Dad, I just got punched. Dad, I just got punched. And I'm thinking maybe it's recess. He got into his first, schoolyard fight. And I'm like a little proud. I'm like, all right, cool. We knew this was going to happen, But then his teacher takes the phone and she's like, hi, Mr. Blow. We're running back to the school right now. A grown man just assaulted your son. And I'm in my office and I just run. I run to my car and I get from my office in Ferndale to his school in 10 minutes. And, I'm hoping I'm not perjuring myself, but I definitely broke the speed limit, getting to my son, because I'm like, yo, what do you mean? And so I pull up to the school and I see an ambulance in front. I see 2 cop cars that are coming to the school, and I didn't care. I was like, where's my son? And in that moment, just being super vulnerable with you right now, in that moment, when I walked into the school, for the first time, I felt like I had to not dumb down, but had to hide who I was. Had to hide that rage, that pissed offness that somebody hit my son, because I walked in and you see, a lot of white people who were very, very shook by what happened. And I had to realize really quickly that if an angry black man walks into the school and is pissed off, what the frick happened to my son? Where's everybody? It looks different.
Yeah.
It looks different. It feels different, right? If this happened to a young white kid and the mom or the dad comes in and they're pissed off, they're going to understand. But all you see on TV and all you see on the news and all you see on all this stuff is pissed off black people. And so, men like us, we can't walk in that. So in that moment, I had to curb my feelings. I had to walk in with a calm demeanor. Where's Gabriel? I go to Gabriel. Buddy, are you okay? And inside of me is Katrina times 10, bro. You know what I mean? I'm pissed. That's my prince. That is who's going to take over everything that I'm building right now. That is my son, my baby boy, who was assaulted by a 42-year-old man for nothing on the way back from the Pickford on a school field trip, And I'm feeling like I'm missing something. Why did he punch my son? What is going on? And so, in talking to my son, he's like, him and his friend, there's only 2 black kids in class, and they were sitting there talking, and his friend is more fair-skinned than himself. And so maybe this guy thought that he was talking to him when he was talking to his friend. They were just making jokes and punches him. And that doesn't quell anything. I'm still pissed off that my son was assaulted on school, on a school field trip. Where is everybody at? Where are the teachers at? And so when I calmed down, I got into my right mind, if you will, and got all the information, it helped me to ease the tension at the school. Like, hey, you know what? I understand that this may have been a freak accident. Maybe you guys were understaffed. Maybe y'all didn't have enough volunteers to go with all 30 plus kids that were at that event. There were only 3 chaperones. I don't know what the ratio is supposed to be, but to me it seemed like it was off. But you know what? I'm not here to press charges. I'm not here to do anything to the school. I just want to make sure that my son is safe, in that moment. And so he had to get some dental work done, and then we had him in therapy the next week, because this is an absolutely traumatic event that happened to him, and we're still finding ways that it's affecting him today. We went through the summer. I sent him down to my dad's, ranch down in California. Man, he's having a good time. I just wanted him to be a kid. I wanted him to get away from this for a little bit. And then we come back to school, and And he runs into a little adversity where, it's not kids being malicious, but kids are like, yo, man, Daybro, you okay? I can't believe that dude punched you, and Daybro's on his healing journey. He's trying to get past that. But a lot of the kids wanted to rehash that, and so it messed with Daybro. It messed with Daybro, and he got into, a little thing here and there. And, so we went to the school and we're like, hey, listen, Daybro's trying to move past this. It is not helping him right now to relive that every day when kids are asking him, hey, man, how you feeling today? Is everything okay? While they may have the purest of intentions, you know what I mean? Like, it's like peeling the scab back again and then again and again and again.
Pretty much.
On a very traumatic experience. And so, we came together as parents and went to the school, and we had a great conversation. We built a great plan, not just for Daybro, but for anybody that looks like Daybro or for anybody that is, an easy target. Hey, these are the things that you guys need to be watching out for, because while I do love my son, I love others that look like my son. I don't want, if you have kids, I don't want your kids to be afraid to go to school because of what happened to my son. While it sucks that it happened to my son, I'm glad that it happened so that we as a community can wake up and put some parameters in place to protect people, and the community's response to this event, man, was so amazing. That's why we're still here today, man, and that's why I'm really pouring out my resources and my heart to this community, because they stood up and they're like, this isn't us. We don't know this dude, and we're pissed. We're pissed for you, we're pissed with you. Like, we hate that this happened, and we hate that it put a notch, if you will, on the Bellingham name. So the community has been amazing. Yeah.
I'm so sorry, man. I am so sorry. And I appreciate you saying you wouldn't even want this to happen to my kids in the future, to other people's kids in the future. The community reaction you were happy with. How did you feel like the city of Bellingham responded to this attack?
Immediately is a good word that I would use. Immediately. So immediately there were so many parents and it wasn't just black parents, right? Which was super, super comforting. What was comforting is the black parents definitely showed up, right? I didn't know there's so many black black people here, but that was so, it was so cool to see a contingent of people that looked like me. But then also, it was really cool to see, other nationalities come and say, hey, how can we support? We know that we probably don't understand what you're going through, probably don't understand what you're feeling, but we're parents. So we understand from that point of view, and we want to help out. And so they poured out, man, so many blessings with like notes to my son and everything. He got, he had a huge, this thing is huge, full of notes, and then he has a little smaller stack of notes. I said, buddy, what's that? I start reading them, and it's from like little girls from the high school and from the middle school with their phone numbers on the back. I said, boy, what are you doing? Nah, so you know what I mean? It was a really cool response, man. We feel safe.
Yeah.
We feel safe.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good, man. Well, I wish your son the best, man, and I hope your family continues this healing journey.
Yeah.
Because who knows how long it'll take, but however long it needs to take.
Yeah.
I hope you guys do that.
Thank you.
So,
yeah.
DeVante, man, we've talked a lot, man. And we are at the part of the podcast I like to call the deep end, which is the part where I like to ask the question, the final question, the advice question. DeVante, man, let's say there's family listening to this.
Yeah.
Your son's listening to this. People part of the younger generation like me listening to this.
Yeah.
What advice would you give to people that either want to embark on a similar journey to you in terms of having multiple talents and doing X, Y, and Z, or want to embark on their own path? What advice, what golden nuggets would you give them today in 2024?
Man, today in 2024, success looks wildly different in everything that you want or can do. And so my advice to you is, number one, really know who you are. Know how you tick. Know what fuels you. Know what if no one paid me to do this, I would still do it because I love it. Right? Know your strengths and know your weaknesses. Know you deeper than I like to take long walks on the park. You know what I mean? On the beach. Know you so well that you can build around the things that you absolutely love and that you can be successful with. It didn't, bro. In a way, and I don't want to sidebar it, but it didn't matter if it was real estate, Cutco Knives, Mary Kay, whatever, right? I knew that I wanted to help people, and I knew that I wanted to add value to people. And man, so whoever's listening right now, hey, get that deep. I want to help people, but why do you want to help people? What do you want to do? Do you want to build a legacy? Do you, you know, what does that look like? What are your goals? Write down your goals 2 times a day. This is probably the biggest thing, bro. Write down your goals 2 times a day. When you wake up, write down your goals. Before you go to bed, write down your goals again. And what you'll start to see is that, and this is biblical too, write down the vision, make it plain, right? Is that the things that you start to write down, your brain will automatically start trying to find ways to make those things come to fruition. So write down your goals, know who you are, and then add tremendous value to people. At the end of the day, you do those 3 things, success will come running after you.
Wow.
Yeah.
DeVante, thank you so much, man.
Yes, sir.
For joining us on the Black Experience. Is there any last minute shout outs, anything that you want to shout out or put out there? I know we got the book there, but is there anything, any people, any websites, any social media, any other projects or things that you got going on you want to put out there?
Man, you know what? To keep up with all the crazy things that are happening, you can just follow me on Instagram, or you can go to my website at www.devanteblow.com. That's it right there. Shout out to my amazing wife, my amazing family, and all those who have trusted me along the way in buying, selling, or investing in real estate. So,
wow,
yeah, man.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, DeVante.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I hope you guys enjoyed this awesome episode, and stay tuned as season 5 rolls on. Until next time, guys. Peace. What is up, y'all? Thank you so much for tuning in to that episode. Make sure to click the subscribe, follow button, as well as the bell to get notified on all my new content that is coming out every Wednesday and every other day. And make sure to click that link in the description down below to get access to all my socials and any other platforms that I have my podcast on. And until next time, y'all. Peace.